Figured I'd lighten up the mood for this one.
I love you, you love me.
Ooh, yeah. Um, I'm gonna have to go ahead and sort of disagree with you there.
Ladies and gentlemen, misanthropes, introverts, and people who consider left on red to be a love language, welcome. This show is for everyone who's ever thought, you know what's worse than a Monday morning meeting? A Monday morning meeting with people. Because let's face it, people are awful. People are loud. They breathe audibly. They ask questions at the end of Zoom calls. They microwave fish in the office break room. Humanity is basically a Black Friday sale at Walmart, stretched out over 80 years. So today, we're diving into the top 7 careers for people who don't like working with people. Jobs where your only coworkers are spreadsheets, trees, or corpses. And even the corpses are easier to get along with than Todd from accounting. So grab your coffee, your antidepressants, and maybe a hazmat suit, because we're about to irradiate these careers with enough sarcasm to make Chernobyl look like a tanning bed.
Yeah. If you could just go ahead and make sure you do that from now on, that would be great.
Ah, yes, the noble night security guard. You, a swivel chair, and 87 monitors showing you the thrilling saga of nothing happening. Your big moment? Deciding whether that shadow on camera 3 is a raccoon, a ghost, or a meth head doing interpretive dance. Spoiler, it's always the meth head. Raccoons at least have the decency to wear a mask and wash their hands. Being a night guard is like being Batman. If Batman's parents died in front of a J.C. Penney, and instead of fighting crime, he just filled out incident reports that nobody reads. You don't fight crime, you narrate it. Yeah, 2 guys robbed the pharmacy. Saw the whole thing from 600 feet away through a potato quality camera. Thanks, Batman. Very helpful. And the pay? Oh, buddy. The only thing thinner than your paycheck is the patience you have for Karen, who insists she just parked here for 5 minutes. Lady, this is a mall at midnight. The only thing open is Cinnabon, and I don't think you're here for a swirl. At least your coworkers don't talk back, unless the building is haunted. In which case, congratulations. You finally get promoted from security guard to paranormal investigator. Unpaid, of course.
Yeah. If you could just go ahead and make sure you do that from now on, that would be great.
Welcome to the world of data analysts, where fun goes to die and spreadsheets live forever. Your entire career is explaining charts to people who think pivot table is a kind of IKEA furniture. You spend hours massaging numbers, running regressions, and cleaning CSV files that look like someone sneezed into Excel. Data analysts are basically the coal miners of the digital age, except instead of coal, you dig through endless data, and instead of black lung, you get carpal tunnel and a deep hatred for people who say, make it pop. And the metaphors? Oh Lord, your boss says, we're drowning in data, but then hands you a thimble and tells you to build a fucking yacht. And when you finally present your beautifully cleaned data set, what happens? Karen from marketing squints at your graph and goes, can we make it happier? What? What do you want me to do, Karen? Add emojis to the GDP? Should I put googly eyes on the bar chart so it looks less sad? Every analyst has that fantasy. Throwing the Excel file into the void, unplugging the projector, and screaming, it's a line going down. That's bad. The end.
Yeah. If you could just go ahead and make sure you do that from now on, that would be great.
Forest rangers are proof that God loves introverts. Your coworkers are pine trees. Your HR department is a family of squirrels. Your office smells like fresh air and regret. But wait, there's a catch. Tourists. The forest is your sanctuary, but every weekend it becomes a Walmart parking lot with fewer shirts. Tourists will come up and ask, "Do bears live in these woods?" "No, Susan, this is their Airbnb." "Yes, they live here. Not renting a studio apartment downtown." Or, "Is it safe to pet the moose?" "Sure, if your bucket list includes get catapulted into orbit by antlers." Being a ranger means alternating between majestic solitude and explaining for the 14th time that, yes, bears do shit in the woods. That's not philosophy, it's biology. And don't forget forest fires, because nothing says peaceful job like watching a 400-year-old tree turn into a flaming middle finger because Chad couldn't put out his campfire after making s'mores. Fuck you, Chad. Still, the upside? Trees don't schedule meetings. Squirrels don't ask you to circle back. Bears? Well, bears only maul you once. That's better than most bosses.
Yeah. If you could just go ahead and make sure you do that from now on, that would be great.
Software developers, the chosen ones. Society depends on them, but society also treats them like unpaid IT support. Your entire day is Googling error codes, copying from Stack Overflow, and pretending you understand rejects. Your boss thinks you're building the future. In reality, you're duct taping together a system with so much spaghetti code it qualifies as an Olive Garden entree. Developers are the only people who can say, "It works on my machine," with the same smugness as a surgeon saying, "Well, the heart was beating when I had it." And deadlines? Hilarious. Project managers treat software timelines like pregnancy. Should only take 9 months, right? No, Carol. Software is not a baby. If anything, it's more like Frankenstein's monster. Ugly, stitched together, and one bad deployment away from murdering a villager. The social interaction? None. Unless you count yelling at Jira tickets or explaining for the 500th time to Chad in sales that the cloud isn't a literal fucking cloud. It's servers with bills and sadness.
Yeah. If you could just go ahead and make sure you do that from now on, that would be great.
Ah, yes, the author. The noble profession of locking yourself in a room, hallucinating conversations with imaginary people, and calling it literature. Writers are just unpaid schizophrenics with better grammar. You spend months bleeding onto the page, crafting your magnum opus, only for your mom to read it and go, "It's nice, dear, but when are you getting a real job?" And deadlines? Ha! A writer's deadline is just a suggestion, followed by 3 breakdowns and a bottle of whiskey. Ask any editor. Writers don't meet deadlines, they stalk them from a distance, like a raccoon in the night. And loneliness? Writing is just sitting in a chair for 6 hours a day arguing with yourself. You're like Gollum, but instead of the one ring, it's whether to use an Oxford comma. And the best part? People will still come up to you and say, "Oh, I'd write a book too if I had the time." "Yeah, I'd perform brain surgery too if I had the time, Karen. Sit down."
Yeah. If you could just go ahead and make sure you do that from now on, that would be great.
Here's the dream job for introverts: morgue technician. You work with people who never interrupt you, never gossip, never steal your lunch from the fridge. Dead people are the best coworkers. They don't ask you about your weekend. They don't tell you about their keto diet. They don't send you just circling back emails from the afterlife. Sure, the job smells like sadness and formaldehyde, but compared to the smell of the sales team reheating fish in the microwave, it's paradise. Your main responsibility? Keeping track of bodies, which honestly is easier than keeping track of corporate passwords. And when HR asks about workplace drama, you can just shrug and say, "It's dead quiet." Downside? Every date you go on ends with, "So what do you do?" And when you answer honestly, they suddenly have to go to the bathroom. And by bathroom, I mean out the door, into their car, and never text again.
Yeah. If you could just go ahead and make sure you do that from now on, that would be great.
Finally, astronomers. If you want to avoid people, just point your telescope at a ball of gas 10 billion light years away and whisper, "At least you're not Chad." Astronomers are basically introverts who won a scholarship to look at space forever. Their coworkers are galaxies. Their staff meetings are just them, a telescope, and the crushing existential dread of infinity. Dating life? Forget it. Sorry, babe, can't hang out tonight. Jupiter's in opposition. That's not astrology. That's just being alone with your telescope and crippling student debt. And yet, it's kind of beautiful. Because when you're staring into the void of the cosmos, you realize at least the void isn't asking you to update PowerPoint slides. Astronomers are proof that solitude can be sexy. You've got a PhD, a telescope, and the patience to stare at the universe for decades. Meanwhile, Chad from marketing still can't figure out how to attach a PDF. Fuck you, Chad. So there you have it. 7 careers for people who hate people. Security guards who fight ghosts, analysts drowning in Excel, rangers battling tourists with trail mix, developers duct taping the internet, authors crying into whiskey, morgue techs chilling with the chillest coworkers, and astronomers whispering sweet nothings to the cosmos. But here's the truth. Avoiding people is an art. Some of us just choose to get paid for it. And if none of these jobs work out, don't worry. There's always YouTube commentary videos. Trust me, you can sit alone in a room, scream into a camera, and thousands of strangers will watch you while you continue not to interact with a single one of them. Ladies and gentlemen, I give you the dream.